Hello and welcome to the Homemaking Exchange. My name is Diana and in this video we are making salmon patties. We usually eat these for dinner, but they're also good for breakfast. To make these, dice up some onion and then saute them in a pan over medium heat. It's going to take about 5 to 7 minutes. You want to just keep stirring them occasionally until your onions have softened and are turning translucent. Once they're done, remove them from the heat and set them aside to cool. And then you'll grab these cans of salmon. I'm using the wild caught Alaskan pink salmon. Open the cans and then drain the liquid off of them into a clean container. You're going to set that liquid to the side because you may need a little bit of it later. Drain off as much liquid as you can because you don't want your mixture to be too wet. Once you do that, go ahead and dump one of the cans into a large mixing bowl. If you have never used canned salmon before, it can look a little disturbing. I am using the kind that has the skin and bones in it, but I do like to take that out. So I just use that empty can and I discard all the skin and bones, just place them in there so that I could get rid of them. All you have to do is just run your finger along the salmon. The skin should pull up pretty easily and you just drop that right into your can. And continue to open up the salmon, break it up into pieces, and as you do that, you'll see that there's little bones. Just slide your finger down and remove those and discard them. I'm just going to continue doing that until I get through this entire can of salmon. I'm just taking out any skin, bones, pieces that look especially weird and just discarding those. As you open up some of the bigger pieces, you'll see that there's, I think it's the spine, I guess, of the salmon. They usually come out pretty easily. Just run your finger behind it. Sometimes it'll all come out in one chunk. Mine broke apart a little bit, but just pluck out that spine and all the little bones attached to it and discard them. You don't actually have to remove the skin and the bones. You can actually eat all the parts of the salmon, but for me, I like the texture much better without the bones in there, so I recommend removing them. You could also buy it without the bones. I think it just costs a little bit more, but I'm used to using the kind with the bones in it, so I don't mind it. But if you do mind, you can go ahead and buy it without the bones in it. I'm placing all the parts that I've done over to the side so that they won't get mixed up. Then I'm doing the same thing with my other can. Once I finish going through both cans of salmon for the first time, I like to go back through it one more time and break down any large pieces of salmon. I don't want to break it down too small because I do like some texture to be in my burger at the end, but I'm breaking it down a little bit more so everything can get well seasoned, and also just making sure to pluck out any extra bones that I missed the first time. Once the salmon is prepared, you can add your other ingredients. I'm adding the onions that we sauteed earlier, as well as some crushed saltine crackers. I'm just placing those in a sandwich bag and then using a can, or you could use a rolling pin or something heavy to break those up. You don't have to make them super fine, but break them up about this size. Add those to your bowl, as well as dried parsley flakes, salt, garlic powder, paprika, pepper, cayenne pepper, lemon juice, mayonnaise, and some lightly beaten eggs. Then gently mix everything together until it is well combined. If you do it too rough, you'll get rid of some of that texture that we want to keep. You want your mixture to be wet enough to hold together. I'm going to actually add a little bit more liquid to mine. I'm taking that liquid that we reserved earlier from the salmon cans, and I'm adding in just a little bit, probably only about a teaspoon in there, and mixing that in, making sure I get it to the consistency that I need. You just want to make sure it can hold together well when you get ready to shape them into patties. So this is where I want it to be. I'm going to just discard the rest of that liquid, and I'm going to cover my bowl with plastic wrap and stick this into the fridge for about 20 minutes so that everything can come together before I cook it. Once the time is up, I put some olive oil onto my griddle, spread that out, and then I use my hands and a spoon to shape the patties. This is pretty hands-on, so if you're making it for guests, you might want to wear some gloves. But I'm just making it for my family tonight, so I'm just using my clean hands and shaping that into a circle. Then I place that onto the griddle and I shape the other side with my spoon as best as I can to make it into a circle shape. I'm not making mine super big because I'm going to make these kind of into slider sandwiches. If you're using a regular size bun, you can make a bigger patty. I typically get 8 to 10 patties out of this mixture. So once again, I'm just shaping that in my hand, laying it on the griddle, continuing to shape the other side. Let those cook on the first side for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. Then use a spatula to flip them over. They should flip over easily. If they don't, it may mean that you need to let them cook a little bit longer on that first side, especially if it's been less than 10 minutes. Just give them a couple more minutes and they should flip easily. Then cook them again for another 5 to 10 minutes on that second side. Once they're nicely brown on both sides, go ahead and remove them from the griddle and they are ready to eat. I'm going to be making these into sandwiches. I'm going to put Miracle Whip on it. Put in now some spinach leaves. I'm going to place my salmon patty on top of that. I always like to add hot sauce on these. And then I'm just going to put a tomato right on top. Our favorite way to eat them is as a sandwich, but they are also really good for breakfast. You can eat those with some grits and some eggs and whatever else you want for breakfast. If you're interested in making the recipe, I'll leave all the details in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.